Good morning. I'm doing a video on healing toxic shame, because toxic shame, which I've suffered my entire life, has had a profound impact on my life in many ways, and I reckon it's the cause of probably 50% of the ills in society today. Mental illness, physical conditions in the body, people being overweight, people being addicts, codependency, and many more that I'll do in another blog. But for me, codependency is a soul destructive. Don't know if some people say it's a belief, some people say it's an emotion, but basically for me, my toxic shame, which the reason I'm doing these blogs is to eradicate the toxic shame in me, and there's only one thing toxic shame does not like, and that's truth and honesty. So I'm coming out. I've suffered toxic shame and hid it very well. Formed a personality to shroud my living with toxic shame and the belief that I was a bad human being and I didn't deserve to be on this planet, and that there was something fundamentally wrong with me. So around that bubble of sticky, horrific poison that lives in people with toxic shame, around that bubble I formed this personality that functioned really well for a long time in society. I had a very successful career I had a great life, actually. I believe Casanova suffered from toxic shame, and the reason I say that is he was known for being a ladies' man, and many years ago I worked in Tenerife. I was quite a good looking young man and I worked in Tenerife and I slept with hundreds and hundreds of women. And looking back, it was a dysfunction. The reason I did that was because I suffered toxic shame and I couldn't relate to people in a healthy way. And it was toxic shame that was the reason that I couldn't relate. I was petrified of women. I was petrified of relating to women, because underneath my toxic shame was the knowing from my own upbringing that women are very dangerous, they're very manipulative, and yeah, I'll stop. I'm going to do another blog on how my toxic shame was formed, but it was quite horrific, and I judge anybody that's been raised the way toxic shame coming for their parents towards them suffers immense damage, mentally, emotionally, physically, and usually also sexually on their sexual level in a way. It's kind of that toxic shame. I don't know how congruent this first video is going to be, but I'm going to unwind it as we go along, so bear with me. If you suffer from toxic shame, the reason I'm bringing this is to set myself free. This video is about me healing from toxic shame on a deeper level, and if I can help one other person along the road, great, because I know how horrific and how it attacks their souls. So I am going to do a video on each of the levels, how it affects us at the subatomic level, the level of the physical body and the cells, the level of the emotional body and the systems within the body, the organs, and also the mental body and how it affects our mind and our psyches, and probably forms at least 50% of the mental illnesses out there. I believe the underlying kicker is toxic shame. It also affects the level of the heart. It kind of inverts the heart and turns something that should be given and receiving love into something that is full of hate, in a deep way. There's a real hatred, a real self-hatred and toxic shame, and that's its job, is to poison the child to stay small and conform to the parents, and I'll call them unwell parents, but it's to conform to their way of being, for their perspective of their life, which is suffering toxic shame. It's something that's passed down generation to generation, and thankfully I don't believe I've passed it on to my children. No, I've not passed it on to my children, but it was certainly passed from me to me from my mother, from my grandfather, so it's an ancestral thing, and I'm going to bring compassion to my family that were raised in this. But yeah, where am I going here other than the gym? So this is my introduction to toxic shame and how it affects people, and if MD's suffering toxic shame, you're not alone, and it's the truth that sets us free. There's only one thing toxic shame does not like, because it feeds on people's souls, and it's, for me, it's fueled, like some psychologists and therapists will call it a belief. I don't think it's a belief, it's more probably an emotion in a way, a mixture of emotions, but there's certainly hatred there, self-hatred, and probably rage that acts upon the self. And one of the worst things about toxic shame is it isolates people. So you feel alone when you live with toxic shame. You feel very alone in the world. And in a way, it's kinda, for me, like, I'll come back to me being a personal trainer in Tenerife now. I'm kind of doing a weave like Trump's up to. But I was very successful, you know. In Tenerife, I had a good job, and I looked like a cool guy, sleeping with all these beautiful women, and had a great life. And then came back to the UK and got into the gym and studying health and fitness, and became a very successful personal trainer. I was making £1,000 a week 20 years ago when that was unheard of in personal training, but due to toxic shame, I exploded that. That went tits up. And I also, through that, designed many beautiful courses and trainings that I've ran with people, and they were really successful. And again, every time I would run a different training that was successful, I would destroy it, and it was toxic shame that was the kicker, underlying destructive mechanism, and that's been a continued pattern in my life. I do things that are quite successful. I've helped people recover from all sorts of physical, and this is the tragedy, like I'm a physical trainer, but also I work with the psyche in people, the mind and the energy body, the aura system and the chakra system, and have had some phenomenal results with clients, healing from all sorts of conditions and diseases that are so-called incurable, and then I just keep bringing myself back through toxic shame to that place that I'm unworthy of being here. I'm bad. There's a fundamental belief in that. There's a belief in people that suffer toxic shame, they're bad, that I don't deserve to be in this planet, that I'm responsible for all the ills in the world in a way. You know, certainly my toxic shame, I was responsible for as a child, as a 3-year-old, I was getting the blame for my grandfather horrifically horrifically damaging my mother as a child in the most sad and sick way, and I get the blame of that. So as a 3-year-old boy, I had the responsibility of my mother to heal my mother of her wounding from her childhood. And I was told I was bad, that I was rotten at the core, that the police would come and take me away. So I heard these thousands of times as a child, and that really formed this sticky mass of toxic shame that kind of lives more on the left hand side of my body, the feminine side of the body, than the right. So I've kind of got a sticky mass of toxic shame on the left hand side of my body, and a ghost on the right masculine side, and I've formed this persona around it that lasted really well for a long time in the outer world and looked so-called normal, but was deeply, I'm not going to say flawed, because there's compassion needed with toxic shame, but certainly damaged and unwell. And then that exploded 4 years ago. That persona exploded because it couldn't handle the intensity and the energy that was living within this toxic shame, which is very sticky, and the energy level is very sticky, and that's why people come into codependent relationships and also these marriages that fail. Toxic shame is the kind of underlying fuel suffer codependency, addiction, and yeah, marriage failure, and why people don't relate well. But anyway, that's 10 minutes in this video. That's enough for now. My name's Robert. Much love to you if you suffer toxic shame. This is the beginning of something, and I hope you, if you suffer toxic shame, I hope you can get something out of this. I'm going to try and bring a bit of humour to a really serious topic that is, yeah, it's I'm not going to underride the seriousness and the pains of toxic shame, because it's responsible for all suicide, I believe, as well. So, but I'm going to try and bring a bit of a light-hearted approach and lighten it up a bit, and hopefully you could allow you, if you suffer toxic shame, to do the same. But anyway, much love. I'm Robert. Blessings, my friend. Have a good day.